Hi everyone, hope you're doing good. So today my video is going to be about virtualization and containerization. So what are these two technologies and how it is going to be beneficial for organization is what is going to be discussed in my video. See, in present era there are many type of issues being faced by organization, like there is a difficulty in sharing the resources, and there is a difficulty in backing up their data, and there is an issues with scalability, portability, redundancy, etc, etc. So in order to get rid of these kind of issues, these couple of technologies were came into existence. So they can be beneficial and they can get off these kind of issues from multiple organizations. So to get started, let me first explain what a virtualization process is. So, so virtualization is nothing but you're going to create a virtual instance of something. Okay, it can be anything like a network, a virtual instance of a network, virtual instance of a hardware, software, desktop, application, server, anything. So, for example, if there is a physical server present, by applying the virtualization process, it will be converted into different kinds of virtual servers. So, what happens with this? You people can achieve higher in your productivity, good efficiency, and better performance. So this is the major motor why the virtualization process is being implemented. Okay, so let me quickly draw the architecture of virtualization. So this is called as the physical infrastructure. So the physical infrastructure is the first one, and next comes the host OS. So this is going to be completely optional, which I'll be stating in the later of the video. And next comes the hypervisor, and this is virtual machine 1, virtual machine 2, and virtual machine 3. 1, 2, and 3. So every virtual machine will have its own application and will have its own binaries, libraries or dependencies, as well as the guest OS. Okay, so binaries, libraries, dependencies, guest OS. Okay, so like that there will be different kinds of virtual machines present. So a physical infrastructure here, it can be referring to anything like hardware, software, server, application, desktop, etc. So this is the hypervisor. The hypervisor is responsible for this virtualization process. So this hypervisor is of two types, type 1 hypervisor and type 2 hypervisor. So this architecture is the type 2 hypervisor. So which means that there will be a host operating system present. So this hypervisor will be communicating with the host operating system, and which is further communicating with the physical infrastructure for isolating the virtual machines. So with this, you can see that every virtual machine will having its own application, own binaries, libraries, dependencies, as well as guest OS. So from this we can say that this virtual machine is not depending on this, or this one is not depending on this. Moreover, this virtual machine is not even aware that there is another virtual machine which is running parallelly. So this is the greatest advantage of virtualization process. So in the case of type 1 which hypervisor, there won't be any host OS present. So which means that this hypervisor will be directly communicating with the infrastructure. So once it is communicated, the virtualization process takes place. So by doing this, what happens? Every organization can achieve an increased productivity and higher performance and good efficiency in their work. So this is the thing. So this virtualization process has been is being from 1960s itself, where the IBM has introduced the mainframe computers, which was simultaneously used by multiple users. Okay, after that the virtual memory was added, hypervisors were added, VMware came into existence, and this VMware also released workstations, its own hypervisors, and so on. The technology was growing. So this virtualization, let me tell you the types of virtualization. So there are totally 5 types of virtualization. One is server, next one is desktop, next comes the application, next comes the storage, and other one is the network. So if you are going to create a virtual instance of a server, it is termed to be a server virtualization. Virtual instance of a desktop, it is a desktop virtualization. Virtual instance of an application, it is an application virtualization. If you are going to create a virtual instance of a storage, it is a storage virtualization. And creating a virtual instance of a network is termed to be a network virtualization. As stated, I will be explaining about the server virtualization in this video. So as I told you, the server virtualization is nothing but you're going to create a virtual instance of this server. So which means that if there is only one server, so with the virtual machine monitor or hypervisor, it is going to be turning into multiple virtual servers. So with this you can achieve the good productivity. So this is the major thing with the server virtualization. So this server virtualization is further classified into three types. So three types. So one is full virtualization. Next one is para virtualization. Other one is hardware assisted virtualization. So let me explain what are these three with the architectural diagram itself. So first one, full virtualization. Okay. So there will be a guest OS, and here there will be user apps, and here there will be rarely used apps. Okay, so this is called as ring 0, ring 1, ring 2, ring 3. Okay. So these three are called, these are called as the protected rings. Okay. So what happens in full virtualization is this user apps will be directly communicating with the host OS in the terms of binary translation. Okay. Sorry. This user apps will be directly communicating with the host OS, and this guest OS will be communicating with the virtual machine monitor, and this virtual machine monitor will be further communicating with the host OS. So this user apps are directly communicating with the host OS, which means that this is called as a direct approach. So for instance, consider you are going to work on Linux in a Windows system. So in that case, what happens is that this guest OS will be communicating with the virtual machine monitor in terms of binary translation. So this will be further coding it into a machine language, and it will be sending it to the host OS. So this is how the full virtualization actually works. Okay, so this is a binary translation approach. Okay, so the best example for full virtualization is Microsoft Server. Next one is para virtualization. So similar to that, you will be having an OS, that is host OS will be there, and then hypervisor will be there, and then you will be having a guest OS, and some of the rarely used apps will be here, and this is the user apps. So this is ring 0, ring 1, ring 2 and ring 3. Okay, so same way this user apps will also be communicating directly with the host OS, and this guest OS will be communicating with the hypervisor, and this hypervisor will be communicating with the host OS. So in that previously there will be binary translation, which means that the binary thing is converted into machine language and which is further sent to the host OS. But in the case of para virtualization, hypercalls takes place. Hypercalls approach is being taken place. So these four are called as overprivileged one, and this is called as deprivileged one. Okay, so the best example here is VMware. So VMware is under this para virtualization one, and here there is no modification of OS taking place. And the last one is hardware assisted virtualization. hardware assisted virtualization. This is also called as native virtualization. Okay, and the previous one, para virtualization, is also called as OS virtualization. So in the case of hardware virtualization, same thing only. There will be a user app, there will be rarely used apps will be there, and there will be a guest OS, and there will be a virtual machine monitor or hypervisor, and there will be a host OS. Okay, so similar like here there will be a range 0, 1, 2 and 3. So it will be communicating directly the guest OS here and the VMM here. Okay, so here instead of this binary translation request as well as the hypercalls, the hardware, it will be responsible for all these things. That is, it will be neglecting both the binary translation approach as well as the hypercalls approach, and if this hardware is responsible for the virtualization process on its own. So this is why it is termed to be a hardware assisted one or native one. Okay, so Intel and AWT are the two examples of hardware assisted virtualization. So these are the three types of virtualizations with server virtualization. Okay. So next, coming into the other topic, which is called as containerization. So this is the next one. So this containerization topic is nothing but it is going to be a good alternative for virtualization process. See, for everything there will be some cons. Same way, virtualization was also having some cons with storage one, with usage of resources. Everything was a concern with virtualization process, which is being recovered in the case of containerization. So you will be aware of shipping containers. So the shipping containers, it will be consisting of packages of different kinds of items which is being delivered. So similar to that shipping container, this is called as a container. The container is nothing but a software which is having a package of different kinds of codes, dependencies, libraries, etc. So this is containerization, which works on the motto of write once and run anywhere. Okay, so this is the major thing with containerization, which means that if there is one container and the applications are written and built in that container, it can be deployed in any other container itself. There is no need that you have to deploy deploy it in the same container itself. So you can deploy it in the other containers also. So this is the motto behind the containerization technology. So let me draw the architecture behind it. So same way, infrastructure will be present, and here comes the OS, host OS, and here comes the container engine. So similar to hypervisor, here container engine is responsible. Okay, and here comes the container 1, here comes the container 2, and here comes the container 3. So every container will be having its own application, binaries, libraries, dependencies, binaries, libraries, dependencies, and binaries, libraries, dependencies. So from this we can say that when compared to virtualization, so if you see in virtualization, every virtual machine will have its own guest OS. But in the case of containers, all the containers will be sharing the same OS. Okay, they will be sharing the same resource itself. But it won't be a concern because the storage won't be a concern here, or the availability won't be a concern. So for every container, the equal amount or the needed one is being allocated automatically without any issues. So this is the thing behind the containerization. So similar to virtual machine, each container will not be dependent on the other container, and each container is not even aware that another container is running parallelly. Okay, so this is how a containerization architecture looks like. So a containerization is also being divided into two types. One is application containerization. Second one is system containerization. So the best example for application containerization is Docker. So Docker is one of the example, and for system is Linux. So to today let me speak about the Docker also. And so before getting into that, so containerization usually has three types of features. One is namespace. So this namespace will be providing the container with the video of its responding OS. Okay. And second one is control group. So as I stated earlier, so every container will be requiring some amount of memory for its functioning. So this control groups is responsible for providing the memory, disk space, input, output, everything to them. And third one is union file system. So union file system, as the name suggests, you can know that this union file system is responsible for uniting all the images which is being extracted from different places like repositories, etc. So these are the three features with which a containerization usually works. Okay, so let me speak about one of the example of containerization or application containerization, which is called as a Docker. So Docker. So Docker came into the existence in the year 2013 itself. So it is using Golang. Okay, Golang is the language which is used by Docker. Okay, so Docker is nothing but it is a container-based technology, and this is lightweight, scalable, portable, everything. So most of the organizations have now preferred to go with Docker for their business needs. So let me quickly draw how this, let me first explain you the components of Docker. So after that I'll be drawing. So next one is component. So Docker client, Docker daemon, and then image, compose, and then Docker containers, and then Docker host, and then repositories. So these are the major and also the Docker objects. Okay, so these are the major components with Docker. So all these components will be required in an architecture or functioning of a Docker. So let me draw the architecture of a Docker. So first one, there will be a Docker client. So this Docker client will be having different kinds of commands like build, pull, and run, etc. Okay, and then Docker host, and this is the repository. So this is called as a Docker host. So in a Docker host, there will be a Docker daemon, which is the major part, which plays a major part in isolating. Okay. So Docker daemon, and here are the containers. So container number 1, 2, 3, etc. So containers here, and here are the images. And here comes the repository. So repositories are nothing but the databases like Cassandra, something like that. Okay, so this Docker daemon will be communicating with the Docker client, with the containers, with the images, as well as the repository. Meanwhile, this repository will be communicating with the images, which means that the image will be retrieved from the database. Okay. So when different kinds of commands like build, pull, run has been executed, it will be directly given to the Docker daemon, and this Docker daemon is responsible for doing all the isolation processes. So this is how a Docker will be looking like. So similar to virtualization, containerization is also having numerous benefits. See, let me tell you which type of technology you can choose. See, before getting into this, let me just describe you the difference with the architecture. Okay, first one. Okay, here is the virtualization, and here is the containerization. So what happens is that in virtualization there will be a guest OS in every virtual machine, but in containerization it won't be available. So I'll be again saying it. So there will be an infrastructure and there will be an OS, that is a host OS, and the hypervisor will be there, and for every virtual machine. There will be a for every application, that is a binary, libraries, dependencies, and there will be a guest OS. So this is how, this is a virtual machine 1, virtual machine 2. So in the case of containerization, there will be a physical infrastructure, there will be a host OS, so there will be a container engine. This is a container 1, container 2. So everyone will be having application 1 binary, dependencies or libraries. Okay, so this is the major difference between a virtualization and containerization. So from this I can see for example, if your organization is using different kinds of operating system, or if you want your application to be run across different types of environment, virtualization can be one of the best choice. If in case you are looking to minimize the servers, then it is good to choose the containerization technology. And also if you want to choose the multi-service architecture, or if you are using multi-service architecture, it is best to go with containerization technology. So and also just look on your business requirements and choose the techniques which is going to be best for you. So both the technologies has its own pros and cons. For example, if you go with the virtualization, the very good thing is you can the sharing of resources is somewhat easier when compared to the containerization. If you get in containerization, there is only one OS present and all the containers are being sharing the same OS. So if there is any issue with that, then it would be a great problem, right? But the portability and scalability is good with containerization, which is not present or which is not good with virtualization. So just check your business requirement and you can choose which one is suiting your needs. So if in case you are having both, if you want both these to be implemented, I have a very good idea for you. So let me tell you what it is. So that is nothing but VMware has introduced it as a vMsphere. So this vMsphere is nothing but it will be combining the virtualization and containerization and Kubernetes. Okay, so this vMsphere is nothing but a server software virtualization. Okay, server software virtualization. So this has been in recent trends. So this combines both virtualization, containerization and Kubernetes all together. So if you are looking to work on multi-service architecture, as well as you are looking to work on different kinds of operating systems, and if you are looking to reduce the cost with increased efficiency, portability, scalability, you can opt for this model also. So if you are also working on different kinds of technologies like machine learning, artificial intelligence and blockchain, etc., this kind of technology or this kind of software can be very much helpful to you. So this is my suggestion, and you can check with your business requirements and you can choose the one which aptly suits your needs. So hope this video has been helpful to you and you got to know about something about this. So thank you for watching.